Political donations, we prefer to call them political payments or a protection racket. They should be banned. Now, once, a long time ago, there was a reason for donations. It was a rubbish reason, but nonetheless, political parties needed to pay for newspaper ads and TV space to get their message across. Ads cost money. The mainstream media benefited from this. But since then, things like Twitter and Facebook have been invented, and getting your message out, you can now do for free. If it's a good message, rather than just political fluff, people will listen. It is free. We all can get our message out, particularly if you're a political party. So there's no reason for donations. They merely entrench corporate control of the major party duopoly. And this week, it was furtively announced by Resources Minister Madeleine King, against the directions of the International Energy Agency and myriad other global bodies, that a bunch of new fossil fuel exploration licenses were to be approved for multinational drillers such as Exxon and Chevron tax dodgers, who are also, of course, party donors through lobby groups and their own donations. Deploying the usual Orwellian language, it was to firm renewables, said the press release from the government. What has that got to do with new gas, firming renewables? And they chucked in 10 new CCS projects, which is carbon capture and storage, in the announcement, which don't work anyway, carbon capture and storage. Why is there a housing crisis? Lobbying and donations. Why are there rampant fossil fuel approvals? Lobbying and donations. It's money. They're being paid to do it. Why is policy in health and pharma the way it is? Financial services, defence, you name it. It's political payments. It's a racket which staves off good policy. We vote them in, and then they take no notice of them. They entrench the very opposite political donations of good government. And Australians are onto it. They know. We know it's a racket. But we're just tired of it. It's a blatant racket. Official, legislated, legalised corruption. An investigation by our reporter Stephanie Tran even found that a bunch of the wealthiest corporations in the country, mostly foreign controlled, had party membership status. They were party members of the Liberal and the Labor parties. The likes of Woodside, Wesfarmers, PwC and ASX. They held platinum memberships of the Liberal and Labor parties. Yes, platinum, gold, bronze, etc. And the membership fees for each were identical and for each party. Australia's biggest companies are hiding millions of dollars in donations to the major political parties by buying platinum, gold and silver corporate memberships to the parties. I mean, where does it all end? And it all flies under the radar because none of the money is officially disclosed as political donations because it's actually party membership. Now here's the bit you may not know, because there has been some progress, a little bit of progress by the states on combating donations. And we can thank a certain judge who will remain nameless for pointing this out. Now you may have seen news about South Australia, the Malinauskas government, and Queensland doing a bit to crack down on donations. And that's good. They should be commended for that, the state Labor governments. This is a good thing, but the problem is, and here's the trick, the problem is that the companies controlled by the Liberal and Labor parties, which front for the parties and which get the money in the door, both federally and in each state, these companies do not file public accounts. They're not required to. Their financials are a secret. So what is to stop a donation in, let's say, WA from being passed through to Queensland or South Australia in a related party transaction? Nothing. It would never have to be disclosed. It's some sort of transfer, a loan or a service fee. What's to stop a donation in Tasmania to the Tasmanian company being transferred in a loan or a service fee to the federal Liberal or Labor Party? Nothing. This is the problem. There needs to be root and branch reform, as they say. Now, when they came to power, Labor promised reform. Like on many other things, they've done more than the Libs would have, but we are still waiting for campaign finance reform. The usual let's have a report and not follow the weak recommendations routine is afoot. Would it matter anyway if the states could still secretly funnel payments to the feds? Vice versa. Even the basic stuff anything below the $16,000 threshold now does not have to be disclosed. So you can do donation splitting, fork out a number of payments beneath that threshold to get to a much larger payment or donation. And due to the once a year disclosure dump, it only comes out once a year in early February, late January. If you time it right, you can actually hide your payment for up to 19 months. This in the digital era. This when tomorrow they could change the rules to make donations disclosed live time when they actually happen. So we can see the process unfold. You make a donation, you disclose it. The whole thing is an enormous scam which undermines democracy. It renders our votes useless. Now, when we started this business in independent media 8 years ago, one of the main aims was to cover the news and public interest journalism which was poorly covered, or not covered at all, elsewhere, to follow the money, to expose the rise of the power of corporations over democracy. Corporations have not disappointed. They have increased their power. It's more concentrated than ever. It has got worse, and unless something is done about it, it will continue to get even worse. We are going the way of America. And when we say something, we need to ban the things entirely. There is no need for them. They undermine public confidence in government. Even if we were to replace it with public funding, all the donations they get, it would be far more effective for government and society in Australia. It would provide the knowledge for voters that their vote actually counted. And policy will be much purer, much cleaner, because let's face it, at the moment they're governing simply for the corporate objectives of their donors so that they can get back into power by spending a lot of money on advertising. The way it works is that there is no instantaneous quid pro quo. You don't donate so you get something back immediately. It's more of a protection racket. There's no direct return. You pay to play, to get in the game. Nothing was done to PwC for its gargantuan betrayal and rip-off of Australia, because PwC every year pays its dues when the bagman for the Liberal Party or the bagman for the Labor Party comes a-knocking to finance the political process. Every year they pay their dues, so when it comes to a crackdown, they slither out. The Big Four, they're some of the biggest donors, and they get back for their millions in donations, billions in public contract work, gutting government its very self. And the party treasurers, the bagmen, this is where the power in politics resides. They get the money in, and they have a huge say in pre-selections. Are you good at raising money? Good. Join up and represent the people. Sorry, the corporations. That's the way that it works. We need immediate reform. Not that it's going to happen. We can keep plugging away, putting pressure on though, can't we? While we're here, we draw your attention to an excellent expose on the music industry by Michael Sainsbury, showing that the streamers, the multinational streaming companies and the ticketing companies are cleaning up at the expense of musicians and performers. Check it out on the website.